I'm Dr. Ryan DeBell from Movement Fix. This is Movement Fix Monday. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about split squats, specifically rear foot elevated split squats. Now, I use this as a stretch. I use it for strengthening exercise of my hips, and I also will use it as a way to strengthen my quadriceps or to be more like an anterior chain loaded leg exercise. And depending on just a few small tweaks and your intention, because the intent, you can do anything with any movement. Any movement can be a stretch. Any movement can be a power or a force generating exercise or hypertrophy your strength. It really just depends on your intention and how you approach it. So, 3 things. As a stretch for the posterior, for the back leg, for the quads and for the rectus femoris and hip flexors, you can name all the muscles, but hip extension and knee flexion. As a strengthening exercise for the hips, and as a strengthening exercise for the more anterior chain of quadriceps. So the setup will be a little bit different, and the execution and loading will be a little bit different for each. Now you can see I put a pad on the ground, and that's so that I don't accidentally jam my kneecap extremely hard into the ground. One of the hardest things of setting this up is like, how far away should you be? And depending on if you're trying to go more quad or hip training for the strengthening kind of like workout version of this, if it's more hip, you'll want to be a little bit longer, and if it's more quad, you want to be a little bit shorter. Let's look at the stretch first. So what I'll do is I'll put my foot up here, and I'm trying to like get the edge of the bench like in the angle here of my ankle. And so what I'll do here is the point of me doing this is I'm thinking about this back leg relaxing. And I'll try to go, like you can see I'm not vertical. I'm actually kind of like crunching my ribs to rotate my pelvis. And then I'm trying to go back like that, almost trying to get my butt to my heel and get a stretch here. Now, if I keep my chest up like this, what I'm doing is extending my lumbar spine and rotating my pelvis like this. And because of the attachment of especially the rectus femoris on your pelvis, that actually makes it not stretch. So instead, when I start, I'll be kind of like posterior pelvic tilted, stiffen my abdomen so that I lock my pelvis, and then I'm trying to relax this back leg, get into a stretch, and if this is my body, I'm trying to go like down and back like this. That's the motion I'm trying to do. So I'll go here, stretchy, and then come back up, pushing with this leg. So this leg's doing all the work, this leg is trying to stretch. So that's how I would use the rear foot elevated split squat as a stretch. Now, if I'm trying to do it as a hip strengthening exercise, I want to have my shin be pretty vertical at the bottom on the front leg. So let's get stretching out of our mind. You're going to get that in the strengthening exercise, but let's focus on the front leg. So basically same setup. Oop, got to be careful of that. So basically the same setup. There we go. Whew. Complicated stuff, you guys. So if I go down here like this, you can see my shin is relatively vertical, which means that most of the motion's happening at like the displacement of weight is back, not forward. So I'm going to use my hip muscles, my glutes and stuff to push up. So what I'm doing is putting my brain in butt. So brain in butt. Put it here. You can even poke yourself in the butt. That can help you feel it. And then driving up from your glute muscles. Now, if you wanted to make it harder, you could hold weight in this hand. The weight in this hand will take your torso like this, which means you need more stabilization through your oblique, through your glute muscles to basically stay in this orientation and not tilt it over. So it's down and back, and then drive up from here. So that would be like the glute version. And then we could do a more quad version. Now, a more quad version, I'm not going to have as long of a step. So I might actually put my foot back a little bit, maybe even more. And then what I'll do here is rather than going down and back like this, I'm actually going to go like more down and forward. And you can see now the angle of my shin, and that's going to load my quad. So now what I'm doing is I'm going brain in quad, and I'll come up and I'll go back down this way. And so these are essentially very different exercises from each other, being like this versus here, because of how you're loading the different muscles of your leg. So depending on what you're trying to do, if you're trying to do a stretch, if you're trying to do a glute, hip strengthening exercise, if you're trying to do quads, depending on what your goals are, why you're doing the exercise, you can make those small little tweaks and you're going to have very different effects. So those are some ways that you guys can tweak rear foot elevated split squats to do and accomplish different things. So that's what I got for you guys this week on Move It Fix Monday. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, I would love if you subscribe to our channel. And we also have a podcast, Move It Fix podcast. If you want deeper conversations, I interview a lot of people. I also do some episodes where I just talk about things myself and break down complicated topics. And you can also find me on Instagram at Move It Fix. I'll see you guys next week.